it's either from a late night last night to an early morning. And I applaud you to be here and up and going. So just real quickly, just so I can feel the energy that I have, can you just stand up, please? And just shake it out like this, whatever it is that was on your mind last night and started this morning. Just shake it all out, because believe me, I just want to feel that. I want to feel the energy. There's a lot to say in 75 minutes, and there's going to be a lot that you're going to capture. So I just want to make sure you're feeling it. Yes? Excellent, excellent. Stretch and anything else. So thank you for doing that. So I just wanted to see, like I said, waking up from a late night or no sleep at all. Right? Oh, wow. Well, I am privileged to have been on board with this year's 4th annual, I'm told, Toro Hack. What you call, it's a convention. So the opportunity that I had several years ago, I have been on the campus at least 4 times within the past 4 years. And it's been just numerous ways of showing what you are not actually aware of doing. So I'm going to raise some awareness, if not probably refresh some of this with most of you. And I wanted to make sure that we have an opportunity to have some interaction and share with you where my journey has been, because it's taken a 34-year career to be able to not master, but as much as I'd like to say is just be on point and make sure that I understand the do's and don'ts and all these little nuggets that it takes to be able to do a mastery class in this topic. So I'm very honored. I'm Mina Martinez. I am owner, and I'm also a trainer of Prestige Protocol. And what I do is I specialize in business, social, and dining etiquette, from K through 12 to VP and everyone in between. With that said, I've had an opportunity, like I said, with the universities, mainly gravitating to the STEM industry. You familiar with STEM? So to do with engineering and the arts and those topics, okay. And along the lines also, you'd be surprised, the fire department, the those that are in ministry, also legislature, and as well as professors. So when I bring that spectrum in, I just want to let you know where those opportunities have opened up. And I just find it to be, like I said, a privilege and an honor. So the agenda that I have for you, I just wanted to share where I've been as a Boeing employee, which is my former employer, and then from there, what Protocol School of Washington did for me as a graduate, and what I'm doing now, which is owner of a business in what I'm teaching. Then basics, and then the other part of what you want to learn is how to go to an event, what do you have to do, why are you there? And then we're going to wrap up with your seat at the table and how to navigate and how to do the do's and don'ts, if you will. Now, I did say 75 minutes, so I put together a number of charts, and I'm a visual, so I'm going to go very quickly, and if there's any questions, you can save it toward the end of Q&A or ask me at the moment so that we can have that available, yes? And feel free. We are going to have some interaction, so I'd love for most of you, if you can, to come up forward when when we get there, if that's okay to do, okay? Thank you. So I'm going to start from high school on, and I've had the opportunity of going to private school for 14 years through college. And then within that, I had an opportunity to get some jobs in between before I actually decided to go into the aerospace industry. So that journey started for me in 1980. And I'm from West LA, and this whole journey here is all of Southern California, okay? When I had an opportunity here, you'll see that I have a lot of DNA. I believe, and I know that I branch from culture. So I resonate with that a lot. And I continue to do it in the patterns of whenever there's opportunity for Heritage Month, when there's an opportunity for a celebration, of our cultures within companies or other outside affiliates. Nowadays, we call them ERGs, Employee Resource Groups. In my early past, they were affinity groups. And it really took to heart what it meant to live that. So I had opportunity to do that in 4 states within the Boeing company. So there's opportunity for further education, which led me to taking the training that I ended up being certified for, because I had that notion of being curious. Where is this going to take me if I do take it? Took 3 years to get the approval because of budget in the department. But I was persistent, but I was able to manage doing that in a good amount of time. So that's where this goes, 2009, Protocol School of Washington. And I have to say, there's a number of things that we take for granted, and we just don't know how to really be a part of or be inclusive or feel that sense of belonging with other cultures until you really take it and break it down. So protocol, etiquette, two different things, but it all belongs to the same family, that same nature of mannerisms, okay? Then what I ended up doing, within 2 programs, you're gonna see the MEXSAT Centenario, and then you're gonna see this one, which is the MEXSAT satellite as well. Whenever you have a communication satellite, it goes by the name of the country that you're building it for. So if it's Japan, it just happens to be JSAT, just the first letter of the country, right? So that's the way that we would label satellites. And then originally, when I thought, okay, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna hire in here, so aerospace and aircraft are 2 different things, okay? So you got the commercial aircraft, then I pretty much had my longevity with communication satellites. The honor and the pleasure I had being bilingual is that you can serve the customer in the best possible way you can. Imagine the benefits there. So that's where I kind of, gravitated my interest to and so forth. And that's how I pretty much, had an opportunity to do many lateral moves. They weren't always promotional, because sometimes that wasn't good for me, depending on how I was doing, whether I was in school or whether I was raising a family. So you'll see all that right here. And the reason I'm bringing this up to you is because this is my journey, as opposed to reading it to you just from a bio. So if you see this, that's why I said I'm a visual. I started my road here, and it's like a serpent, just kind of go like this, and this is how it kind of took me all the way up to 34 years. But in between there was a lot of challenges. There was a lot of opportunity. I had 3 colleges that I attended, all because of the programs that I needed to take and the timing of it all, right? Then we have, personal things like tragedies and things that happened. And, it's just something that I was able to continue, because this part right here, this is where I gave a lot of my time, and I continue to do so. Because, well, personally, it affected me because my mother for 20 years, having had dementia. And her last 5 years is when I had to retire. So 6 years ago, I retired already, after 34 years. And it all was dedicated to her care. And so everything else just went, dormant. And I share that with you because, like I say, you don't know your challenges. It's going to happen when you're going through work. And you're going to say, was I able to do this? Was I able to make that happen? Was I able to be away for the 2 weeks that it took to train? And it was intense. But I graduated, I was certified, and I came back. And to this day, I'm able to say that I'm proud that I did that move. Because you had your management support you as well. So companies are really good to find out if you're going to have education covered for you as well. I even offered to pay out of pocket. They said, we are going to let you attend this, but it's going to be on company funds. So how wonderful is that, right? And they could also do a master's from the program there. I mean, there's really wonderful opportunities the Boeing company gave me. But more than anything, I did community involvement, which meant a lot of volunteering. And, praise those that do that, because you know what, that it takes time and effort, but it's for me, it's part of my family circle. It's my pie. There's family, there's community involvement, and there's me time, and then there's the business. That's how my pie is currently, but it's always changing. It's changing constantly. Different universities had callings for me and so forth. And then I always kept what I love doing, which is dancing, and I have indigenous dancing. It's what I gravitated to when I was very young. And then in my later years, my young adult, if you will, I just became a little more active in that. So I, staying local to Southern California. I had 4 performances in 4 states. And again, because we believe in culture, D&I plays a big part in me. D&I is diversity and inclusion. Try to make that happen for yourself wherever you're working, because it's an outlet. to allow you to feel and do all the things that you never think would, be there for you. So companies are really wonderful depending on what you're looking for to aim for. So as a Boeing employee, what did I do? It allowed me to compete with other individuals twice as old as me, but I was able to be in a project because they were listening to other thoughts and ideas, the creative side. That's what I enjoyed, okay? I enjoyed being part of that. Confidence, presenting ideas, Whenever you have an idea, don't stay quiet. Speak it up, because you never know how that's going to say, it might not work for you here, but let me see if I can take you to another department, and I ended up being on 4 affinity groups, and I've served these are 4-year terms. I feel that the presidency, vice president, treasurer, secretary, all those within 4 different affinity groups. Because once you know one, you feel like you're a member of all the others. And that's where inclusion comes in, and that's where you fit. But every time I noticed there was something going on that I thought could use a little bit of more refining. Where do you think that is? Just in, a workplace, office mannerisms. And you could skyrocket from there, just a bunch of things. So what Protocol School of Washington showed me was there's a world of tech out there, but they also needed a lot of training in etiquette and protocol. So I wanted a piece of that, so that's where I got into the training. And I said, how can I do this to make better just in our own environment, on the other side of the partition that I was in. Conversations, things that you don't talk about were being talked about. Now that's changed quite a bit, but that's what gave me the real awakening for me. It's not a cultural awakening, okay, because I told you where my culture is, and I know where that is, and I know where I'm fitting. But to show others that have no clue about that, that's where my etiquette training came in, and protocol, to say, hey, we have some guidelines that we got to follow here. And just like you're sitting here, I was giving those trainings at the company because they saw that I had that knack. And I thought, well, what better than to be having 2 roles? I wore many hats, and with that came many titles. And being proud of that, again, you give the best offer venture-wise of something that's going to take place if you think it's going to happen. And then you become a team member. Things just happen. So lessons learned and tools that I took. I specifically made this class, the charts for this workshop or seminar. I'm referred to as having presented a seminar today. So I have a couple charts, and I'm going to be showing nuggets. Why are nuggets up there? Because I think I wanted you to see, and I particularly put them in red so that you can see that I started to create my own presence with consideration. Okay, then I started claiming myself online. I had to be first knowing about myself. Know that you're confident there before you start putting yourself out, because you're going to get attacked, or you're not going to even get seen or whatever. I just went with the flow because I had to do it for the business, not my business, the company I was working for. Social media was just starting. I was no guru or anything of that nature. I said, no, I don't think I want to be assigned that. I had ideas, and they put those ideas, I had somebody else working. So it's always good to voice yourself, okay? And do that, because you never know where it's going to lead. And so you eventually become an aficionado in something. Well, for me, I love to travel. I continue to do so, especially with this business. I do my own little videos. I burned out I don't know how many cameras, and then I put them aside, and then the film that you take out before we had digital. I mean, I'm giving myself away here, but creative content, it's always there. It's always there, and I have archives forever. I wish I just would have had, just remember to label things, people, okay? You take it as fast as you do, and then you put it aside. The next camera comes out. As soon as you buy it, like a car, the next fashion is going to come out. Before you know it, you have like 6 different cameras, in my case. So I'm just speaking about that. My biggest tools, pic collage. Does anybody know what that is? That is an opportunity to show how to do photos and things like that, right? And then you have my camera equipment in my iPhone. That to me was important. But I always remembered to handshake, look into the eyes, and have matters for consideration. A work-life lesson I want to share with you, and this nugget right here, define your values, okay? Ask your best friends to describe what you are best at. And then what makes you mad? And then set aside after that your experiences. And then, you start formulating things, but you have to have somebody help you, okay? And ask that, because that helps me. That helped me go and did a lot. Force yourself to be or act however you want to be, because soon it's going to become you. I'm just taking these nuggets from things that I learned, okay? And I'm making it possible for you to see that. Always have a smile, remember that if you can, when you make an introduction, try to remember their first name so that you can close out by saying, you know, when you're leaving, that you introduce, and then you also say goodbye or departing with that name said. Another one for the company now. Now, I'm talking prestige protocol. The company I represent, and I'm just recently doing this. This is why I brought this to mind. I thought it was important to do. Because for those of you that are on projects, and you find that you have some strengths, or there's some, what we call the subject matter expert in you, share that with somebody else. Because it's happening to me live, okay? And I wrote that. Find a friend and get started on a project. Well, I never had to find them because they were always part of our conversations. So inefficiencies are everywhere, know that, okay? Find them, and then even outside of tech. I'm old school, and I'm going old school with the business, but then I'm getting new feed that this is the way to do it, this is what the future's looking like, but I'm old school, so I'm getting trained still, okay? And so my biggest tool right now is what? School calendar. You have to write it somewhere, and I also have a desk calendar, where I used to keep 4 calendars when I was actually working in the office. It was crazy, but I was doing it. And I just wanted to share that and put that out there for you. Now, here's the deal. Welcome to the new decade that we are, 2020, okay? Digital communication, it's huge, right? Does everybody know how to use it? I'm just getting familiar with just to get by, you know, because there's so many nuances and things like that, and everything's read. And no, I don't go Google everything up, okay? What I did and what I presented here are fresh charts. You know, I didn't Google it to give you this information. So it takes time. And I'm a believer, preparation meets opportunity. Has that happened for anybody here? Preparation meets opportunity. And I'm very grateful because that's happening to me. I wanted to share that. Digital communication, I work with communication satellites, okay? 34-year experience, mainly in communication satellites. Also in the defense, which meant cybersecurity. Yes, I had a lot of doings and so forth, but also when you're in a company, what happens? You have an employee badge, but then you start getting different levels of responsibility, which opens up the doors for you to have different levels to things that you can do in the company. So we have what you call a secret program, and we have what you call a dark program, okay? If you don't have the proper badge, then you cannot attend that meeting. And then once you're in that meeting, those walls, you cannot speak about anything about that. So a lot of these satellites that I was working on, and I say a lot because I could count about 12 of them, they were global, of which 2 I was, like I said, I pride and joy because I was able to speak with the customer and share the language that I'm very comfortable with. And those were communication satellites for the underground narcotics that were going on. And Lord and behold, they came up, they found them, but we don't say how, okay? We knew where we were targeting. We were talking to the presidents. We were having calls coming into the suite that I worked with. Oh yeah, at that time, the president in Mexico was and so forth. You have to know that, you have to have presence. You have to know how to answer those phones. I was that person, just like that. I was meeting that person to person, live. I was that phone call that I answered to, representing my boss. So you see where this culture I'm telling you is very important? I put this together. I was up yesterday working on this, and I said, look, digital communication, the majority is texting. But texting could be dangerous, you guys. Remember, we are in a digital world now. As soon as you enter anything into your phone, if you have an inappropriate photo, it's there to stay. You could delete it all you want. It's there. You could trash it. You could do anything you think you know how to. Cybersecurity knows how to get there. So now, long story short, it invades your privacy. It's toxic language. You follow me so far?
Yes.
This is what has happened with our digital communication. Changing the workforce demographics. You know, you're using machines and things and letting people go, right? So now we have a RIF going on. Do you know what a RIF stands for? A reduction in force. Companies are having that because something else is taking over. Digital communication. It's killing us, okay? It's going to have a lot of jobs that are going to affect families and what happens there. You know, it's just a ripple effect. The reason I brought that up is because I knew this stuff way in the past and I couldn't talk about it. Now, it can even end a relationship, okay? It can end your work position, which I just finished saying. It could even hurt marriages because they don't feel that they're the sustainer of the families and that it's not going to work out for her anymore. I'm just showing you some just brief examples of what it means to be on digital communication. Okay? So with that again, don't lose your protocol, don't lose your mannerisms. This is what communication used to be. I put it up there. I thought it was so cool when I found this. I said, vintage social networking. Does anybody relate to anything here? Instagram used to be a photograph on our desk, okay? Now, and then LinkedIn, there's a Rolodex. You know, now it's business cards too. Now I have a notebook and now I have to visualize to see where that card came from. Then you have to alphabetize it or go by business or go by category. What are other people doing now, right now, with digital communication? Simple as a cell phone, take a picture of your card and it puts it away for you. That's kind of cool, but not everybody has that. What if you lose your phone? Think about that. We're all in trouble if you lose your phone, if you don't have a backup somewhere. Seriously. If you misplace your phone, seen it happen all the time. Look, so, do you follow me? Skype, the YouTube, it's right outside the window, just look outside, right? Pinterest, there's that. And it goes on and on. So look, Facebook, right? Are anybody familiar with these words so far? And this one here, WordPress? Okay, you get my drift, right? I just wanted to share this because I thought it was really humorous. Electronic technology. This is where I said, if you've taken a photo already, be very careful. It doesn't have to be you to accept it. If somebody dumps it on you, and just don't open it. It's still on your phone. So the message behind this chart that I have here it's twofold. One, just make sure you keep your social media clean. Right here, and I know these people, this is a conference, and they were standing in line to do registration. There's 3 different pictures right here. We'll start here. The conversation got heated up. I asked him, please move, and let's get to get out of the line because he was talking to a travel agent trying to change last minute flights, and I had to help him after the fact. But the situation was like he doesn't get reception there, and he was about to present in 10 minutes, and he was just registering because his flight was late. So I try to help him as fast as I could to see what I can do. Because you don't understand, I have a connection to Australia, and then from there I have to be da-da-da. And this is the only moment I had to talk to the travel agent about. So he was calling the company, it's a Boeing employee, take your business out of line and don't let everybody else hear it. Okay? It doesn't sound right. Has anybody been in that predicament? Where you're at the grocery store, oh, you're already hearing everything, and they're like this with their phone to top it off, which leads me to this picture. There's the phone on that side. He's got 2 bags. You don't see it. There's one there and there's this one. You see that? And then there's that there. What you don't see is the person that was doing the same thing that was here about to go in there. And I took that picture. But I took it because somebody else walked in front of him. I had a clear shot of him. Be careful. That's what I'm saying. When you're at a conference and you try to take some business somewhere, say excuse me, or don't even say that unless you do know the people, say that. If you're not a part of anything, you don't have to excuse yourself to anybody. Just get yourself outside where you can have that one-on-one with somebody and whoever that person is with you, okay? Manners, rudeness. When you go to travel, make sure you're gonna have the appropriate things to travel. Because you know now, you know the rules. No water, no lithium batteries, you can't take the camera with you. If it does, you have to go, it has to be packed away somewhere else. Those are things you have to know. If you're gonna go camping or you're gonna be somewhere where you're traveling, you could take a retreat and then you're gonna do an excursion because you have couple hours to burn before you have to be wherever you have to be. This is water. You have to take your little sticks because you don't know if you're going to fall into a hole or not, right? The phone is back here. Is that safe? No, right? So just be mindful of what you have to do. One of the things up here, and I keep saying this over and over, if you have a recording on your phone, think about what your message is saying to someone else. If you happen to have music, if you happen to have a rap song, what is that conveying to the person who's receiving your phone call? If you're calling about a business and you have an appointment or you have an interview coming up or just a one-on-one or something for coffee, if that other person on the other line gets music, what's going to happen? They're not going to give you that time because they don't, I go, okay, so I got music on here. And it happened. I was next to an executive, about to get on the elevator. He was on break, the only time he had. He gets the music on there. I'm listening to it because it was loud enough that I can hear it. And he goes, well, sorry, guy, there goes your interview. And he was just going down the list of the people, of his notes, because, you know, it's, he was on his way somewhere else, and he's about to get in that elevator. I got in the elevator with him, and the conversation was not very nice after. Because people just don't know, you know, it cost them the job. Maybe it cost them the job to have that rap music going on, which shouldn't have been appropriate. Precedents. I wanted to go into here because now we're going to be talking a little more into why we do what we do and how you should do it. So this is a chart. If you can, please try to remember it, okay? Precedent's going to set, it's an order of what you're going to be doing, all these things right here. How you're going to be served, how you're going to be introduced. Are you serving paper plates? Are you serving styrofoam, or at least some type of ceramic, unless it's fine china? Those are the things you have to know ahead of time. How many people are coming, what kind of seats you're going to have, and all that. That's precedence. Which leads to almost everything that I have noted. In anything that you're going to do, your first impression is one of the most important things. Within the first 3 seconds of meeting someone, there's 3 key things. Do you know what those 3 are? Does anybody know them? Just one of them. Doesn't have to be in the same order. Okay? Eye contact. The first thing. What's your second? You just said it.
Good handshake.
The handshake. We're going to talk about handshakes. That is correct. And what's your third?
Smile.
Thank you. It's your smile. Those 3 things, you guys, then there'll be some follow-up dialogue. If you don't have any of those 3, something needs to change. Because if you want to continue the dialogue that you have with somebody, that's going to matter. It's going to matter big time. Okay? So always remember for this first time that you give, always remember, you're going to strive to make every life or business encounter you have with anyone a memorable one. You're talking business here, okay? These are the things that we have to remember to do. Always be well groomed. If you're going to go someplace and you're a gum chewer, make sure that that's disposed of properly way before you're going to go to where you're going to go in, because it's not going to probably have the opportunity to happen again unless you swallow it. You know, there's things, and it happens a lot. Okay, you're not supposed to have that in presence of any kind of networking event that you're going to have. If you can, always remember to acknowledge everyone who's present around you. Be pleasant, have a demeanor that is going to be very nice. Just saying hello first, to your left and to your right. If and when the opportunity allows you to speak, then speak. But first, listen more than you speak. Okay, these are all things that you do at the very beginning when you're meeting somebody for the first time. Or if you know the person already, that's okay. Just know how to keep these things in mind. And there's always a closure with sending a good thank you card. We're going to talk about that later. And there's also remembering that business is gender neutral. Here in the USA, we treat each other the same. All right? Learning to use proper etiquette will provide you a sense of self-assurance and poise in social and work situations all the time. That's extremely important to always remember that. The ladies, when we're at the tables, at conferences, or any particular banquet table perhaps, okay? Let's not do any grooming on the table, which also includes no makeup, particularly lipstick. And I see that all the time at these real fancy galas, and it does not look proper. That person does not know any better. That's kind of sad. So etiquette tips that you should know. If you just make a note of these things, I think it's extremely important, because you're going to learn, like I said, it's going to be a refresher, or you're going to learn for the first time something that's new. And I would think that by this time, you would have already adapted to most of this that's out here. Okay? So, if anything, if I may say, there's 2 things that we avoid when there's conversations. If it's not within your own membership group, what do you think that is? Politics is one. Religion is 2. Okay? Safety net, do not bring that up. Okay? Just opens a can of worms, and then it's just not a good thing to have those 2 things. I think not everybody knows that too, because when the first thing people want to do is voice those 2 things. It's really, just don't be a part of it. Okay? You either walk away from it, or just don't say anything at all about that. And I'm going to say something about clothes. If there's an opportunity that you're going to have limited clothing because it's all you have, you're going to, take care of that. The maintenance of clothes is important. You're going to need to have it ready for, upcoming trips or whatever. Plan in advance. Don't wait to do that laundry the last day or 2 days before, something happens with that dryer, it's not gonna dry your pants the way you normally need them. It's already 11 o'clock at night, you can't go to the dry cleaning, you've got an 11 o'clock flight the next day. It happens all the time. Make sure the shoes that are gonna be, on for 3 days of a 5-day conference are gonna be really the ones that you're gonna wear those 3 days. Or you're gonna have some backups. Ladies, the heels, those things go too, they wear down. They get caught in between the escalator little grids. I've seen so much of that going on. Respect your clothes and your hygiene, just because it's gonna represent yourself, and just know how to be a little more respectful about that. And this is just things that start when you're young, okay? And you're young now. Believe me, you're young now. The types of events, know the hospitality there. Do you know what I mean by that? Know where you're going, know how they're gonna receive you. Is it a themed event? Is it Western? Is it luau, which means Hawaiian? Then you dress appropriately to those things and you take that clothing with you, okay? There's nothing more ridiculous than having to wear just whatever you want when you're gonna take a flight and you're on business travel. When you leave your home, you should represent the company or the school and bring in that image until you are back home, because you are on their time away. So ladies, it's not a time to be wearing, our sweatsuits and leggings and what have you, because I've heard this and I've seen it as well, but they have no clue that that's okay. Well, it's their downtime, but not really. They're representing the company if they're on business. You follow? Okay? And I think that speaks a lot. Gentlemen, the same thing. Oh, I'm just going to throw on my shorts, I'm going to go here, there, but yet you're going to a business event that includes, recreation, whether it's golf or whatever. Know where you're going is where I'm getting at, and pack that way. If you're going to, like today, we're in a convention, so we know what the clothing is going to be like. If you're going to an interview, know what you're going to go for. You never know, because people are watching. They could be just talking with you. Next thing you know, they're going to say, "Oh, I talked to so-and-so, I'm interested in pursuing more of our conversation." That happens at conventions and conferences, because that's what you're going for. It's a career fair. So there's 3 types of things that you always have to be ready for and dressed for. And so whether you're going to be attending a reception, there's reception clothing, there's gala clothing, there's difference about that. And then if you're going to go to a lunch or a dinner, if you have a place setting and it has your name tag on there, don't move it and go to another table with it. Okay, you need to represent that and be respectful of it. If you got time to talk to someone who recommended you for an interview and you got the job, that person was thanking him for saying, "I got the job. I just wanted to thank you. 2 days ago you took the time to talk to me in the hallway." And things happen for a reason. So I think it's very important. Whether it's a form, he was on his way to the gala in a tuxedo, she was just coming out of the interview, which led her to getting the job offer the next day of that conference. So we have different levels of how to do things, and one of the things that's most important are introductions. Those introductions are always the things that we fail to do. I don't think everybody knows about that. I think people think that they are pretty savvy about it. Is everybody here comfortable with introductions? Do you know what you're saying? Do you know the levels of people when you speak to who they are? Do you know them? Do you research them before you're going to meet them if you're going to go somewhere, so that you know who they are and you know how to introduce them in case you take a significant other, or just anybody that's in your business, right? Or maybe you just want to take a guest. Know how to introduce them, because then they're going to say, "Oh, they know a little bit more than just my name." And so here, you're going to introduce yourself, of course, because it makes you known to others. Otherwise you're not going to have that. If no one's not going to know how to introduce yourself, or introduce you, you have to know yourself how to do that. And there's proper ways of doing it. Always say your first and last name, and possibly the school you represent, or the business that you're at. That's all you have to say, those small words, and that's it. If you're sitting down, you can introduce yourself to the person, in a business setting or social setting. It says a lot about you. You're going to shake hands web to web, that we're going to talk about. It's also good to grip the wrist and avoid handshake. Why? Nowadays. Did you know it's okay to, and we're going to do that, yeah. Use your right hand first, but always face the person directly and smile. So that's extremely important, that we've got to keep that in mind. This is the chart. If you want to go ahead and take a photo of it, please remember this, because this is the proper way. This is not done correctly. If someone's going to introduce the mayor and happens to be at an event, is the mayor the greater authority if we had the dean of a university.
Yes.
Yes. So, the ranking. Introduce a person of lower rank to the person of higher rank. If you know their ranks, then you know how to make that introduction. The lower to the higher. Okay. Now, here's where it gets really sticky. If persons of lesser authority are going to be introduced to persons of greater authority, people think it's the greater to the lesser, and that's not the case. It's always the less to the greater, as it is here. Junior executives to senior executives. People have the mentality of that because they're the higher level, they think that they're going to be introduced first. They're introduced to, not first. Okay, this is you're gonna meet this somewhere in your work life, or whatever path you're on. You will have an opportunity. And the good thing is that once you know how to, that speaks a lot for you. It puts you in a position to say, oh, I got to do this really nice. That was nice. Believe me, they will notice it. A non-official to an official. Police, right? Okay, that's the official is the police. And then executives are introduced to a client. That's the part that gets always turned around. Client to executive, I don't think so. It's the executive to the client. And always refer to someone as Mr. and Miss until they tell you otherwise. Okay? Until they say that. If they don't say anything, they don't say, oh, please just call me John, or whatever their first name wishes to be. If they don't give you that right away, it's a Mr. and Mrs., okay? They do that a lot in the South. They do that. Name badges. You're all wearing a name badge today, okay? This one is not as low as most of them are that I see. Lanyards, I don't favor them, okay? There's various reasons. The main one is that they sit too low. Second, they turn, so you don't have your name when you're going to come and meet somebody, you don't know who their name is. If they do have it showing and it's way too low, we have no business watching other than our chest. Look at the difference here. Okay, this is two managers. Look at hers, turned around. Here she's explaining it. Did anybody know what their names are? And from a distance, I'd be like this because I can't see anyway. But what does that portray? What is she looking at, right? Like, it does not reflect nicely, is what I'm saying. So, if and when you can, have your name tag with a clip. That's the best way to go, and wear it right here. Upper right is the corporate way. Don't let anyone tell you differently. If you have executives and they're working on this side, they never found out that it's corporate right. Right. Why do you think? Because of the eye-to-eye contact when you're having need to meet anybody. That's important, okay? And I don't want to click down here, because why would you want it there in the first place? Or why would I want it here? You have to have it here in plain eyesight. That's the message. If you're going to go somewhere, this is a double-sided one. This was smart, right? Because then it's easy to, put on. If it's too long, just take the back, and it happens to have one of these little knot things. No, you can't make it short. What you can do is take it, make your knot go in, and you're going to bring it up to here. It's going to be here because you need space to make that little knot, and then it's supposed to sit like about right here. This is the right spot, right? Nobody has to be looking down here to tell me, and what is your name? Then there's another way of introducing what your name is. If you cannot see their name, you tell them who you are, and then ask, and your name is? And then they're going to go down here. Why did they go down here when they tell you your name? They just want to show that to you. The mentality is very different when it comes to badges. So my point here is make sure that it's at plain sight. She had just taken my class, the pose, everything. She won, by the way. She was presenting this. She was also presenting hers. So this was some competition thing that the students do at career fairs. And so look at the difference. Does that make it? Sometimes we have like this little lapel here that we can put here or here and clip it on there. So always be safe with that one. If you can, save it from a previous conference. And she took the class as well with me. Unfortunately, look how low that is, right? That gives another clue. Here, these young men are going to the gala, to the awards luncheon, and look what their badges are. Perfect, plain sight. So what I'm trying to say here is just be a little more mindful, knowing that you want a clear eyesight when you're going to be shaking hands. That's what it allows you to do. And then they're also used for facilitating a conversation. You see everybody's names, and it's the first thing you want to see. That's why you want to see that they are up here and not anything lower than it should be. If they hang too low, they hang too low. Handshakes. one of the things that we do get too gaudy sometimes, this is business. If you got cocktails and other things to go to after, that's fine, but we have to be mindful of our jewelry, not to have a knuckle cruncher, because some of us, we wear some gaudy jewelry sometimes, that's not for business. Be careful with that. Even if you turn it around from here and you put it inside, if you're gonna have a handshake with that, you're gonna hurt yourself. So just remember these little steps right here. It's always nice to have a firm web to web, okay? If you do not, there's opportunity to do it differently. But this is this is web to web, and this is web to web. Now, what would be, and this is web to web. You see that? So this is your web. Everybody go like this? That's your web. All right. Now, for whatever reasons right now, if I'm not able to, if I can have a volunteer to come forward, I just want to show something different right now. I want to show you. Thank you.
Back on anytime.
And he flipped it over. Victor. Hi, Victor.
Hi.
I'm Mina. How are you?
Nice to meet you, Mina.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So he was about to say Miss, and that's okay, Mrs., because you're safe.
I
Unless
forgot
I
your
say
last
Mina,
name first.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I should have had that on there, but I took it off for purposes of the training. So instead of doing this, what you can do, and this is very, very acceptable right now, what we're doing. So, two things, okay? I just finished saying it a moment ago. If it's not web to web, what could it be?
Wrist to
Wrist, wrist to wrist. Okay, how would you know that? Unless I, and the first one who takes the first hand out is in control. You let go first if you're the first hand out. You want to be that first hand, okay? You want to be that first hand. So hi, Victor.
Hi, Miss Martinez.
I'm so glad you are here.
Pleasure.
See that? I reached here.
Oh, that has to be the form?
That's the thing. I didn't know to put wrist or to put the forearm. Forearm could be like right here, right?
Yeah.
Right? So what would this be? Wrist?
No.
So but the thing is, I'm not going to do the hand to hand. I guess, right? So I just go like that. But how else would you have said it? You're going to think, that's not a handshake. You're going to think that wasn't a handshake.
Right.
Right. So to avoid a handshake altogether, you could just put your hands like this and just say, how very nice to meet you. What is that telling you right there? You're not being rude. Pardon that I don't do a handshake. Just say something. I'm feeling under the weather. Sorry for not handshaking. You know, say something and you could be safe. Especially right now with everything that we got going on, you know, with viruses and the hand cleaning and all this. So that's okay. But the proper business one, if you've taken care of washing your hands before you're gonna go to a meeting or what have you, that handshake is the web to web. It has to be firm and you go like this, right? Yeah. Nothing, you could do one or two pumps, but that's it, just very lightly. Just very lightly, so pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now see, I stopped it, right, didn't I?
Right.
Did you
Yeah.
feel that?
Yes.
So was I the first one to put my hand on it, or was he? Who?
You.
Okay, so then you would have that control, right?
Yes.
So then you just want to say hello like this,
Pleasure.
and then,
Well, pleasure to meet you.
and the pleasure's mine. So then you want to let go. As soon as you do that, I'm going to let go. But as long as you're holding, I'm going to just go like this, and then
Right.
you're going to feel that detachment,
Right.
which is okay to do. So just be kind about it. So thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank you for
welcome.
doing that.
Of course.
So that's what I wanted to show you in terms of having the handshake. It's extremely important to have that known. Yes, question?
So about the letting go, what's the proper length of time? Because sometimes I find myself holding hands with somebody while they're beginning a conversation.
Exactly. So here, and excellent, excellent, it's always asked. And so when we say 2 or 3 smooth pumps, that gives you just seconds, not even 3 seconds. A lot of people like to hang on and they go back and
What does that
forth and they
mean?
go, meaning,
Like when they just,
they don't know any other way. It's just, they're excited, it's an opportunity that's coming up, that's their way of handshaking. They don't know that it's supposed to be firm. You have to just know how to, if you leave that on and you put your foot down, right? And you have your web to web, and you put that, you're still looking at, you're not looking at your hand, you're looking at their eyes. You should know how to come together like this. Because a lot of people do that. They look at their hands and they're like this, and they're just doing this the whole time. You're supposed to be having eye contact. Make sense? So 1, 2, 3 like this, thank you. And then let go. Just let go. And you'll see it, but so many people do this. Do you see that? And then you just give me a real little soft hand. Just a little soft one. I won't do it because I don't do that. I don't do that kind of thing. Just make it real soft. There. Look at that. But barely even touching. You see where that's coming from? Or even this. Like this. Guys do that to me. I have men do that to me. Okay. No, I'm feminine and all that, but come on, you know. Hello. See that? This is how it should be. Remember? Gender treated as neutral. Okay, in the USA it is. Yes.
Can you talk about what he was alluding to about maybe in terms of the power exchange? When people hold on to the handshake longer, that there's an actual power exchange and they're actually negotiating. So I've been in conversations where they don't let go of the hand until you make an agreement. So that there's a power dynamic going on with the longer you hold somebody's hand. And the pushing, you know, there's those gestures that are happening while you're shaking hands. So a little longer grip, there's a message, unspoken message happening with that power grip depending on the delay of the handshake.
Yeah, no, you said that very well stated. And so what I've seen, and it's happened to me before, they hold that hand until they try to get you to, I don't know, if it's just a hello, it should be very simple, smooth pump and so forth. But if it's a business, it's all in what you say. You know, oh, have you had a chance to think about what we talked about? Just like that. You know, hey, how you doing? How's our deal coming along? Are we still on? And it goes on and on. You have to learn how to say something about that. Sure, let's talk about it right now, and then just let go. If you're going to continue holding, they're going to continue holding it because they're in charge. I mean, you know, they're the ones who came in like that. And I've seen many a times where there has been the connection, the eyesight's not there, but that handshake keeps going on. So they just don't feel comfortable with it. There's a lot of things that are different about a handshake. There really is. I'm glad I have all these questions. It's beautiful.
Can I say something
Of
about
course you
letting
can.
go?
Yes, of course you may.
Never let go downwards
Yeah.
because you're fighting four fingers. Let go upwards because you just got to release the thumb. And you learn that in martial arts.
Ah, look at that. Going upwards.
You just go.
So just say, hello. Okay.
Ow.
Yeah, just let go. Just let go and bring in your hand
No,
like
because
this.
when someone's holding on to you, it's very difficult to let go when you could be more awkward versus
Yes.
what they teach you in martial arts.
Okay.
A simple twist and up, you can't hold on to
Right.
because you just have one thumb.
Right.
But
Oh.
when you have four fingers, you can hold on to something. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, well, there's another observation there. Did you have a question or a comment?
Just a comment on how she was saying like the power dynamic of like people shaking hands. I know sometimes often people try to assert dominance. They try to turn their hand over the top of your
Yes.
hand to try to show and exert dominance. Kind of how she was saying like it's a power exchange.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I don't know if that's just the mentality that they have there, you know, because if they have had any kind of training with handshakes at all, whenever you're going to go to meetings, especially for dignitaries, you need to know some structure about that, okay? Now again, this is in the USA, but we have dignitaries that come here that are from foreign countries. And then you've seen a lot of television stuff, you've seen that, right? And you see the handshake and you see the other hand go on top of it. We do not do that. Okay, that's a cultural thing. So we have to be careful, we have to just be standard. Well, unless you know that other person well enough that you can do that, can somebody, hey, hi my friend, how you doing? And they come like this, right? And they do that. There's no power exchange there or nothing, that's just their way of doing it. Otherwise, a simple, clean, that's it right there. That's how it should be. Okay, because there are so many different ways. There's the fist pump, there's this, that, you know that, right? And I've seen it, but not when it comes to business. I love the observations and the comments that have been said because at least you're seeing this. There's an observance. For those of us that are always, you know, out and about and in businesses, I've had.
Can I say something?
You sure can.
So, being raised Latino, my father always said that if you demand respect, you give respect first. I think sometimes with a handshake, you can show the authority of respect with it if it's quick, clean, and easy. At least in me being in business 23 years, that's kind of, and I've dealt with people all over the world. That's kind of how I've always done it, and it just seems like it just changes dynamics. Like sometimes I've had people on the phone like really aggressive of when we meet, and I show that just that respect, that you respect them, quick, easy, short. It always turns the tables to my side. It actually never has, not never. So.
Wow, you see, yes, so that's a power of a handshake right there, just from what
Yeah.
you just finished saying, is the knowing the respect ahead of time.
Right.
And short, sweet, and
Yeah.
fast is
Yeah.
the best. Yeah, it would be, right. And then you also, if you can, depending on, it is all cultural, believe it or not. Because right now, if we have, I've seen and I've attended some of the trainings that Mayor Eric Garcetti puts out, and I see some people that they come in all hands, it's like all full force. Oh, Mr. Garcetti, not mayor, Mr. Garcetti, put their two hands together like they're embracing them, like they gotta do that. There's something about that they have to do, when all he's doing is just putting his hand out, right? Or again, watch it, sometimes if he just goes like this and there's no handshaking, sometimes in a receiving line, have you gone to events where there's a receiving line and that handshake is not there? Have you gone to a wedding, there's a receiving line, and there's a towel next to it, so that so the couple who's meeting is cultural, believe it or not. I could go on. There's so many things on how to understand that, you know, because a handshake represents a lot of power in a lot of different ways. So I love this. I love the fact that you have all these questions on all your inputs and all your info share, because like I said, it's just like a business card too. Are you going to present it to someone that you would like to continue a dialogue with? That's how it should be. Just don't go, flashing them out with your feet chats, like when you go down to Vegas and you see that going on like this.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people at conferences that go and just, here's my card, can you call me? They just say, here's my card, right? And they're not even looking at you. That really is sad. Another thing that you want to make sure with your business card, who has one right now, or just representing your school? Does anyone have a business card right now? Okay. Would you mind bringing one out? And if it's okay, I also have mine that I'd like to share if anyone would like to take that with them. The reason I'm asking you for the card, because it's meant for communicating, so there could be a continuation of a dialogue. If you were to, you might not have time to bring out your phone, the phone might be low or whatever, that person may not want to see the phone or wait to give you, okay, now you have to bring contacts up, now you have to put the phone number. Have you seen that happen? That takes time. You are in the position to say, do you have a few minutes to exchange this on my phone? If that's the right way. He says no, then you're out of luck, right? But at least you asked. If you don't, then you won't be able to have that. But if you had it right there, that was your ticket. That's your connection. And it's all a matter of continuing the conversation. A business card is representing you big time. You want something from that to continue happening. That's how I translate that. Anyone else have a business card that translates to something else? It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It's the way of contacting you. So if I can see yours, would you mind bringing it up? This is important, because when you want to look at it, see what's in here? Exchange your card when presented with one. If you gave me one, okay, look how she has it. It's okay. This is good. This is good. At least she's facing the name to me. All right? It wasn't facing you, because you know who you are. But
Pretty good idea.
You want to make sure. I look at this. I receive it with both hands, okay? And again, this is, there's different ways of doing this in different cultures. But I'm going to look at this and I'm going to acknowledge you, even though you could be talking, you could be saying whatever the conversation that started to bring up the card. But there should be some kind of invitational that says, if we can exchange cards, we'd love to continue talking with you later. Something, because you don't have the time right now. And we always do this. We do an interaction exercise where we do it, and they're exchanging a card, and they're like not even looking. They look at the card the entire time while you're talking. So what does that communicate, right? So if you do not know how to pronounce the last name or the first name, what is proper? Ask. Ask. Exactly. But how are you going to ask that? How are you going to ask it?
Politely.
Yeah. You're going to ask for that. Okay. So, and this is a perfect example.
Yeah.
So Cecilia. Cecilia, could you please pronounce your last name for me?
Uglu.
Uglu.
Uglu. Uglu.
Ugwu. It's
Ugwu.
U-G-W-U.
Okay.
That's all I asked. It's perfectly fine. In
Where's
fact,
that
it's very
from?
respectful to do that.
Nigeria.
See? And that's perfect. But remember I told you to say Mr. and Mrs. until you're told otherwise? This card would have opened that invitation to do that. Right? So I said Cecilia, that came to me right away, right? And then you want to say, you want to part by, because we exchanged cards and you have mine, you could also just say, you could have just said, Mrs. Martinez, thank you. I will be following up with you. Whenever you're going to close, make sure you're looking at us, just, each other. Looking at that. And so am I, yes. And we're looking at this so that I at least have the courtesy of thanking you for the card, and it's all said in the aisle. Boom, and we're done, right? And then we do that. So then that's how the follow-up goes. And it also helps for memory recollection of your name. Because you may have not had the card, and we were just talking, So just I'm one that I'd like to get a repetition of names, so you close it and just say, it was very nice to see you again, Cecilia, or very nice to meet you, depending on what that circumstance was that enabled an exchange of a business card, right? And it happens all the time. And at least you have, you know, a title underneath your name right away and so forth. So this tells me everything that I needed to do, but there was a reason why I got your card in the first place, right? So there was some dialogue going on ahead of time. If there wasn't, it was just a fluke thing. It says, oh, we don't have time to talk now, but if I have a business card, we can talk this later. But there has to be a connection somehow why you want to have a card. Okay, remember that. Because if you just give your card to anyone, it could be dangerous.
Right.
May I keep this or would you like to?
That's-
Thank you, Celia.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
I got a question.
Yes.
So we live in an era where you go to a lot of people aren't carrying business cards, but
Right.
the digital version of business cards is LinkedIn, right?
Right.
So it's the same conversation, but instead of a business card, someone will say, hey, are you on LinkedIn? You know?
Mhm.
And some people will try to connect with you, even, like you said, even before having the conversation. So now you're on the other side, it's like,
Yes.
I don't want to accept these people on my LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
So what are some of the ways to deflect that, or do you simply just say, you know, try to extend the conversation, well, why do you want to connect in the first place?
Right, so, you know what I have noticed that I'm finding myself doing is if there is an opportunity, I say, thank you for your interest in connecting, because I cannot do that to everybody who's connected, because some of them give their purpose of why they're connecting with me on LinkedIn, or what they want, right? And they're flat out saying, I love your network. May I can I tap into your network? Flat out told me just like that. I'm going, I don't hear from diddly squat. What do you think I'm gonna say, right? So I'm finding myself, it's hard for me to answer right now to say that, because if there's someone that you were referred to, you're gonna follow up on LinkedIn, it's your prior connection that you're gonna do that for. But I'm getting all these off the wall ones.
Right.
So if you have something that said, oh, I'm on LinkedIn, connect with me, then you've had something that's gonna connect you both, whether you wanna continue it or not. Just say, is there, you know, may I be of service or anything that I can provide you or something, you know, whatever it's gonna be. They say, no, thank you, then done.
No, because there's a field on LinkedIn when you request a connection.
Yes.
You can say something.
Yes.
There's people that don't even fill that in. It's just a blank.
Exactly.
Like-
Help me with that, John. Does
No,
anybody have an opportunity
well,
to share?
But a lot of times what you do, and because we're Hispanic, we're African American, we have a different cultural axiology,
Yeah, we do.
right?
Yes.
So what we value is personal relationships.
Correct.
Right? So you go, well, we have 10 connections in common, so how can I say no to you? Right?
Uh-huh.
But I still don't know who you are or what you do.
It's okay to, please.
I just wanted to share that I think it's important, because you're students and out of college for a while, that you're empowered to be able to say no to
Yeah,
those
yeah.
very random
Thank you.
connections. Some people are totally on point with like, I have no problem telling somebody no. And some people are like, just kind of a little bit what John was saying, we have connections, there might be a reason. I had somebody reach out to me, and I know they were reaching out to me because we had mutual friends in common. So what I did to position myself as a professional and saying, don't just LinkedIn, don't just connect with me because of, you know, my network. I want to make this valuable for me. Otherwise, I'm going to X you. So I said, hi, I see we have a mutual friend in common. I'd like to know more about what you do. I'm happy to connect with you. Let me know how you think we can work together. So it's like, why did you FaceTime me? Let me know how we can work together. Because if we can't work together, I really don't need another connection.
Right.
And now the connection came up, actually, an opportunity to connect. And he responded, and it was, okay, good. Let this be clear that it's a business card and that this is a business sort of connection, and I want to go there.
Exactly.
And I don't know how we're going to work with each other now, but when it comes, be aware that it's going to be for a request.
Exactly.
And so now I have the opportunity to make a request, and he's going to follow through because I set the precedent for that.
Exactly, you did. And she used the word precedent. You see that? See where all this business comes in? It's a lot of acumen that has to be, you know, reviewed. And I just took this, because it's one thing I want to say. We've come a long way already, as you know. We used to do things until we finished it, And now we're doing like 10 times that because of the social media that we have available to us. It's taken away that knack, but now that we have to be on the social medias and know how to say something, LinkedIn in particular, that was an excellent, input that you
He
gave
was
us
a
all.
police officer, by the way, he's a sergeant, high ranking, it was like captain actually, he was a captain in the police department.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see there? Yeah, and then everyone has different styles,
Did you
remember?
say, why you reach out to me, officer?
If I can say something about this, feedback on that, I kind of do the same thing. I look at geographic, even if they're friends with 10, 15 people I'm friends with on LinkedIn, I don't just say yes. I look at where they're at because I know my service area. I live in an international city in Los Angeles, right? So I travel all over the United States and the world doing what I do for a living, and therefore, just because they're in New York, doesn't mean I want to say no. I may say yes, depending on what they do and why they want to contact.
Right.
They want to be a contact because they're going to try and sell me something. I'm immediately going to say no. You know, and I'll literally ask a similar question as she does, and if they can't give me a clear answer, goodbye.
Okay.
Just
Very
like
good.
that.
Very
Just
good.
like that, yeah.
No,
It's business.
this, and for those of you that are still remained here, I think you'll nurture from this, and you're gonna understand why, I just kind of skimmed the cream of the crop to just do a couple charts to show this, because these are actually courses that take 3 to 4 hours, and you can go really deep into it. Then this, what I wanted to do is make sure, and I'm really glad that it generated interest like this, because we need to know. And if anyone could leave from here and know these kind of things for you, it's gonna help you in society, believe it or not. So here's something I wanted to share with you here. Style it forward. There's so many things that require your preparation before you leave the house. Just know where you're gonna go. Why are you going there, right? If you're gonna go, you know you're gonna be gone for the house for 5 days. You know what you have to do ahead of time. Just make sure you're set. You have your passport or whatever it is that you're gonna need to do with traveling, number 1. Okay. If you have any situations that you need to have in what you bring, this is why I bring this up. Know what you're doing, because all these kind of things is very important, okay? Just start putting it somewhere in the home, in a corner or wherever, and just start stacking up on top of the suitcase if you're gonna be traveling somewhere. Before you know it, you're gonna say, oh, I can't take all this, but it was on your mind at the time. And then, because you can start as early as a week before you're gonna go somewhere, that's okay. Don't do it 2 days before. Remember I mentioned that? Because there's a lot of things that have to go in that packing. And here, what I want to make sure that you do, everyone knows, when it comes to the business attire that you need, there's business. When it's cocktail or even what they call after 6, there's different, clothing, but you may not be able to make it home to change. Bring it with you. Or wear something you could convert and make it a little more, into the social type of thing. Shoes. And the most important thing when you're in business, the cologne and the perfume should not be worn. If you're going to go to a cocktail or anything after, that's when you can wear it. If you're used to it, just don't pour half the bottle on you. You've seen, it could be a perfumery, right? You could be somewhere in some buses or wherever it is where there's a lot of people. It just lingers on, and it might make you dizzy. It does me. Just be careful. So make sure that you wear it lightly. Make sure that you're coordinated, that you have things, at least 2 things available that you can always change and have available. Always be presentable, because you don't know who's going to need to invite you to a gala at the same day, or maybe like the night before. Oh, by the way, I have a seat, or my guest can't make it. Can you come? $1,000 seat. You say no, then you're going to start continuing calling and calling. So you have to know how to exchange and say, would you be flexible tomorrow? I have to fill 2 seats for an event I cannot go to. You are putting yourself in a spot to have somebody represent you for a high-end ticket. There's a lot of things. That's what I'm saying. Know what you're dressing and when you're dressing it for.
Can I say something
Okay.
about that? Just to take those, because, we see, my background is corporate, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always suit and tie, and business culture changes. Nowadays, you go into some places with a suit and tie, and people get nervous. They don't even want to see you. It's a change. But I always say, you can always dress something down.
Right.
It's really hard to dress it up. And a tip that I learned a long time ago: just carry a tote bag in your car. Have a sports coat, have an extra shirt.
Exactly.
Go from the sneakers to the
Yep.
dress shoes. jeans in this city will always be accepted, but if you have a coat and tie and shoes, you can literally switch in 5 minutes.
And be ready, and be ready like that.
And just having those things in the car has saved me so many times.
And if you have an office, instead of a partition nowadays, because so much corporate structure right now, reorganization, you have, if you're lucky, like the managers that I worked for, we were out in the partition area, they had the office. If they have to go and jump from one thing to another, or there's gonna be a briefing, and they have to agree with so-and-so's customers, then they have a lunch, and they have this, that, and the other. So the agendas that I had were quite, impressive, and they led all the way into like the evening hours. Sometimes people go to office and they clock in at 8 and out at 5. I was not that type. I did other things plus go to school at the same time. I was always on the clock. So you talk about having extra clothing. In the office, always, if you're supporting a manager, recommend that they have an extra suit jacket, or you have your cell phone yourself, okay? Because something can happen, something could spill. But if it's in the vicinity that you don't have time to get to, especially in LA traffic, and you're gonna go somewhere, remember that little black dress or that extra little something extra for a gentleman to have. Always make that expense if you can, okay? Think about it, because it'll be an opportunity for something you don't know is coming to you. You have questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I work for the public sector.
Public sector?
And I'm always being kind of targeted by the public and the council members just for questions.
Oh,
every
wow.
Time, so every time I gotta approach myself, I feel like I always have to have this thing I gotta represent my department really good. On top of that, the cities are twice as much.
Twice the
Plus,
pressure
I'm
you
young,
feel.
I'm young, so they'll say oh no, he might not know it, or he won't understand this. And since I live obviously in I live in Glendale, so I get a lot of Armenians and Filipinos.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's
Sure.
pretty. Yeah, I got used to it.
You got used to it.
Yeah.
But see, remember I started off with saying about D&I, know your diversity and inclusion. Know that, because if you know that, then you know that you belong. But for those that don't know you or don't know anything else, that's sad, that we don't all know that. But see, you're representing, so you know at the time you step out of your home, how you need to look and how, right? And you finally get home and I'm home, I can relax. But until you're back, you're still on somebody else's clock.
And it sucks because they kind of recognize you around the city.
And then,
Yeah.
there you go. And then you
I was
get
oh,
targeted,
man.
right?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm honored to have you here. Here's something I wanted to share this with you real quickly, because on the dining part, I have so many things to share. Basically, what you want to know about the dining part, because we actually have to do a dining tutorial. I would love to do that later. And what it is that you have to do is know how to enter and know how to navigate a table. So I'm going to go through some charts really quickly. If you have any questions, please ask me. There's 3 here in the U.S. There's 3 customary ways of eating. There's the American, the continental, and what's the third? Asian. Asian, because we use chopsticks. That's a norm now, okay? And we'll talk about that later. But I just want to just make sure. So you're going to sit at everybody has a little table right now in front of you. Put your hands like this and a mannerism like this. I'd like you to do this like this. You have to have at the edge of your table and you. That's the space that you have to eat. Okay, I'm going to bring the chair around and I'm going to do this right here so that you can see. I'm going to enter through the right side of my chair, not the right side of my body. Entering the right side of the chair. Bring it out for as much space you're going to need. You're going to come down here like this. You're going to bring the chair, you're going to squat down a little bit like this and bring the chair right to the back of your legs. That's it. That's how you know. And then you're going to sit down. I'm not sitting down. See if I'm bringing it in, see how I scoot it in? Now I'm sitting here. I should be too. I'm not. So I need to go in a little more. Lift yourself up. Don't do this. Don't do this. Hold it. Caballito, caballito. Got it. Okay, we're going to go like this. And then there. I have a board here. I can't go any further. So this is what I mean by this. At the edge of the table. That is the proper way. And it's quite important when you're going to have a soup course. Because that soup course is, you're going to bring it up to you. You don't go down in the soup. Okay, there's so many things and intricacies that I want to share with you very quickly.
I got a question.
And you're going to get out, you're going to go like this. Yes?
In today's day and age, as I said, we're all gender neutral. Are men still expected? Is it polite to help a lady do it?
I'm going to say,
No, you have to ask me.
I do, but I'm old. I do, but I'm old.
Is it a generational thing?
They said that it's okay if they don't, but it certainly doesn't help to show that they're still a gentleman at the table. So that needs to come back. Yes, but it's not, here it's not required. In other countries it is. But right now, it's okay not to, but I think it's very politely that everybody, that you guys still do that. It's just extremely important. So let me continue with this, onto the next one. And I took this, the elbow rule, very easy. You know that, right? No elbows on the table at any time. When you're eating, when you're dining. It's okay right now, he's just in class. But that's exactly what you don't wanna do, and people do that at conferences. What he's doing, just remember to put your hands down. The best thing is away from the table, like Lunel. Away from the table, underneath, just like you. And I can't see your back, it's so low. Otherwise I see your name. Ah, okay, Andy, thank you. So that's perfect. See, underneath like this, you're safe just by keeping your hands down like this at all times. If for some reason you need to rest when you're eating, that's okay to put this here, but never the elbow part. And this happens to just be a novela, and I took a photo of it. I've had it for years. And here you want to see all this? And because no one's next to her, she's going to just be eating that. And that's his place setting. So it's just always important that you represent yourself with your hands. You speak a lot. And so, napkin etiquette, what I just want to share there real quickly is that be careful with it. Treat it like an heirloom if you can. More fancier restaurants will have black linen because gentlemen and ladies that wear black, this white is going to come off on there. And you're going to be like this, you're going to go, where did I get all that? Little fuzzies, you know? So the folded side should be the folded part that goes up toward your body, okay? It's not cool to just go like this, gents, and just do this. I see this all the time. You know, when I'm just gonna come over here, and you just put it like on, the guys are sitting down and have it only on one side. It has to go like this, okay? Because more than likely something's gonna happen and it's gonna spill, and if it does. So napkins come in different ways. They look up in the top one. The way I set that up is you're gonna have the napkin where you have to remove the menu, okay? That's a menu card for the program, and then get that. But you're not gonna do any of that until your host is the first one to do it. You're not gonna drink your water first until the host does it. You're not gonna do anything on the table until your host gives you the right of way, okay? If you don't have a host, then that's a different thing. But it's the way that you all need to do that and just follow. First thing that you do when you go to an event, the reason I said you're there for a reason, is you're going to connect and just, even if it's eye contact and they're talking to someone, you can wait in line like everybody else is, or usually if there's an opportunity for you to do it later, the point is that you're there. You don't want to beeline into the bar when you first go to an event, okay? Make sure we are just in contact with that person who invited you so they know that you made it there. If it's too big of an event and you're at a table, that's another thing. But if you're hosting a table, you're the host. You have to be the gracious host, make sure that they know that your napkin, you got it, then they're going to follow you. If you just come to the table and you sit there and you're the first one to sit, that's already wrong. Half the table guests have to be there before you sit down. At any event, remember that please, okay? Don't be the first one to sit. Yes?
I've seen tables that I think are poorly planned.
Oh, yes.
Because they have a centerpiece that doesn't allow you to see the guests.
Exactly.
So is it rude to remove it so that you make everybody comfortable, but you may offend the host, or is it?
Yes, you will offend, yes, you will offend the
I do that
host.
at weddings.
That is, oh yes, no, good point. So here's, excellent, you said that. Do not remove any, no name tags. You do not remove your soup bowl. When you're done, they come and take it from you. If you want your dessert and your food is already there, you move your plate, you bring you're already messed up. You don't any of that. That's table navigation. We're gonna get into that a little bit. But good that you brought it up. This is how this was set up ahead of time. This is a salad with that little croissant biscuit thingy, you know, the what's it called? Sourdough bread?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so a nice big croissant place. Anyway, here is the gift, there is the napkin, and here is the menu card. See that? 3 things. Gift, napkin, which is the black color there. This is silverware, by the way, otherwise it's flatware. And there's a dessert fork, there's no spoon. There's no room for a coffee cup. They bring it to you if they want to. That's the precedence that was set, okay? Unless they don't want any disruptions, anything is preset in advance. You probably went to a lot of meals, and I'm gonna share what preset means. To your point, centerpiece, this is tiny. There's gonna be a raffle with that. You can't just take it. You know, if you have somebody announcing what that's gonna happen, they'll tell you from the very beginning what's gonna happen. There's probably a little envelope by there. Here's the bread, here's the butter, there's a lot of things that go on with that. So take your gift, because what's on the table here is the program on the seat. So it's pretty busy, And nothing's worse than having a table that seats 8, so there's rounders to sit 8, to sit 10, and sit 12 people, and even up to 14. The perfect table is to have 10, that seat 10, and put 8 on there. 10 on 10 is okay, but don't put an 8, a seater for 8 and put exactly 8 people. Number one, you don't know your guests' wingspan. If they're like this already, they took over. Just remember your BMW. We're going to talk about this. Anything from your left to your right arm is your property, right there. Already, one person does something wrong, domino effect, and it all goes bad. Yes.
You mentioned one person does something wrong, so it just brings me to the point.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people don't know this. So if you know how to
Yes.
have proper etiquette, how do you fit in?
You do, honey. You shine. You just do what you have to do. And then
Okay.
someone else is gonna do. I always say this, and I say this to the children when I go to their classes, and I said, like anyone else, monkey see, monkey do, and they laugh about that, and they like, is this the word monkey or what? And we're doing it. We're doing an actual gesture at the table and all that, and they were looking at each other, and the other person was just doing her own little thing. She wasn't even looking, but everybody else was looking to see what the other ones did. So you don't want to do that, because you don't know that they're doing it right. So if you know, you go. Do it perfect, yeah, and then they'll follow you. And there's ways. See, there's all ways. And I'm not asking you not to Google anything, but there's a lot of things that have to be talked about ahead of time. So because this was more along the cybersecurity thing, I also wanted you to know that when you go to events that have topics or have themes, that you follow them. Know what you're going to go for. And if you're at work and you're in a suit, it's okay to go, even if it's a Western theme or something. The people who set this up, the presidents, usually it happens when there's a retreat. There's going to be the cocktail hour, and if it's all Western theme, we're having barbecue. Right there might be some finger food that you have to eat. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to eat it with your fingers. You could eat it with a fork and knife, but you just have to know that. See? Oh, there's this one plain out wings, and that's how you eat them. That's not how I eat them. I have a fork and a knife and I use it. Believe me, and it looks so much nicer. It really does. What is this? What do you see here? Food, preset. This is how it came in when you went into the event. I was a town and gown at an event at USC. This is a luncheon. Cinco de Mayo, it happened to be Cinco de Mayo, and they went with the theme. What do? Tortilla soup, chilled. It's delicious. It's cold. They can serve it ahead of time. The water's preserved. Here, there's my name tag. There's going to be dessert here. There's no dessert here yet, but then they put all this condiment stuff, everything for a taco. Here is the taco salad. This is ribeye or something, delicious. So this was your salad. Here's another opportunity where you go to an awards luncheon. Look at everything that's already set. Your iced tea, your water, your dessert, your name tag. Everything is here, and so is your bread plate's over here somewhere. See how this is all preset? Because they don't have time to bring out for way over 500 people. It was huge. You have to know what that means. Doesn't mean your food's there, eat it right away. You have to. There's a silent cue. So that's preset, just so you know. It doesn't mean go for it as soon as you get there. Here's where I think I need some attention. I say BMW because a lot of people that I see go like this. That's bread and drink. I get dizzy doing bread and drink. What I like to do is I go to the BMW, which is very simple. Your bread, your meal, and your water. So in front of you, anything to your left and to your right, that's your space. So if you're looking at it this way, to the right is the beverage, and to the left is the solid. Here's your bread plate. Then you would have a butter spreader, not a butter knife, okay? Then you have your utensils. The more utensils you have, that navigates what you're gonna eat. It's what you see there is what you're gonna get. If you have 2 forks and 2 knives, what does that mean? And you're probably gonna have a salad plate, which is look what I have here. You have a plate and you have a salad plate. Oh, thank you. Thank you for telling me. Okay, so we're gonna speed here. The reason I have this is because normally a plate has one other thing at the bottom. You know what that is? It's for decorative purposes. It's a charger. Okay, we don't need enough of that. That's only for placement purposes. The salad usually goes on a flat plate, but if they have a bowl, they give it to you because it's just the way that the place setting design they picked is fine. The only other thing that I don't have with me that I've shown you is a bowl. But how would you know you have a soup coming? a soup course. A soup course is something's gonna be liquidy, right? You're gonna have that. If I had 2 knives and 2 forks, salad, yes, and dinner fork, okay. Why would you want a salad to have a salad fork and a salad knife? One case, a wedge. I actually saw it being picked up like this and chewed into, and it was an MAOF event at the Biltmore. I just went, and then the next to me, she was putting lipstick on. It's like, okay, this is like a restroom here, you know? I couldn't believe what this little girl was doing, that she was a scholar, she was gonna be awarded. She didn't know, neither did the parents. I felt like, oh, God, you know, that go right there, in a metal mole, I said to myself, I said, I cannot believe that they're doing that. She literally didn't even pick up the plate. The wedge, you know what a wedge is? From an iceberg lettuce like that, and it has like dressing and it has bacon bits. That's what you use for that. Or how about mushrooms or caprese? It has mozzarella, right? It has tomato. Knife. And there's only one way to cut your food. We're gonna go through that next real quickly. So I put this here because it's like navigating the circuit board. Navigating a table is not easy. It's gonna come with practice. And it will make a difference to you when you do that, okay? When you handle stemware or silverware, you're gonna know the difference. This is stemware. Always hold it from the stem, okay? Don't be cool and think that you're gonna be like holding your wine like that. What happens when you hold it like this?
It's more.
That's exactly right. Here's the white wine and here's the red wine, right? And I'm holding it like this. Is this right? Neither one is right. How's this? Neither one either. So you know what STEM stands for, right? All right. Goblet, it's goblet. Iced tea is water. Don't hold it from here because you have all of this. This is the one that's okay. This is the one that's okay to do. Here, this is a toasting flute. Whenever there's a stem, you hold it by the stem. Again, I see this all the time. I see people walking like this. And this is the killer one right here. They're like this. Watch this how you go to an event, okay? No, you don't want to do this. And you're going to serve up to here when it comes to that. If you don't drink, and it happens to be something that's with alcohol, okay? You can certainly do the gesture with it, but if for religious purposes you cannot do that, then you leave it alone and you pick up something else that is okay, which is your water. Got it? Because if you're not drinking already, you got that. Never turn your things that you're not going to use upside down, whether it's a coffee cup or a tea cup, or this if you're not going to use it. I see people do that. All you do is you get your hand and you kind of glide across, and then tells your maitre d' or your wait staff. They give them a silent cue. Just look at them, and by all means thank them. You know, look at if they have a name. Just get to know them that way, because otherwise it's just it gets rude. You're going to cut your food one piece at a time. You're going to butter your bread one piece at a time because it's meant for breaking. It's not meant for you to slice it and butter it all up. It's like I'm eating like we do at home. I'm talking when we're outdoors, people. in public, right? Never season before you eat. It's an insult to the chef, and you could be in trouble because you've already oversalted your food without tasting it first. Exactly.
All right, so this is a personal preference, but I'm sure you can answer this question. Why is the butter always cold? How can you spread a cold butter?
Oh, okay. Well, number one, it's dairy, and they have the restrictions. It's an automatic, has to come from the refrigerator at a certain amount of time, and if it's preset, it can only be preset like maybe less than half an hour before your event.
But if they're like bringing it out to you?
I've had those rocks before, and then you just put a little bit on the plate, and somehow or other it starts thawing out like an hour later.
Oh, so I'm not wrong.
You're not-
Oh,
No.
You are not wrong.
Oh,
But that's the way of doing it.
It's they didn't have time.
Exactly.
Don't assume that they're doing it right.
Yeah, it's like a pet peeve almost.
I know.
No,
Yeah, you're
because
exactly right.
Actually,
You're exactly right.
The cold temperature will change the taste of everything. So that's why cheeses and butter.
Exactly.
room temp-
Thank you for saying that, John.
Yeah.
So here we go. Cutlery is the third way of calling your what you're eating from. Okay, so it's silverware, flatware, or cutlery, or utensils. Don't call it silverware if it's not silver. Only if it's silver. There's a reason for it, right? The way you convey the difference of these two is that there's one more step that you're going to do. You're going to have your fork and your knife, and there's a resting position. A resting position means you're going to put your knife down, more than likely the knife, because you need to convey the food from the fork to your mouth. You're going to have one extra step here because you're going to rest the knife and you're going to move your fork to your other hand. You do it right here. So here's what I do. I'm like this, right? I'm cutting like this and eating. Are you that eater, like that? Or do you eat, rest, and if you're resting it, switch over and eat? Are you that one? That's the only difference between these two. That's how you convey the fork, and it's okay, just don't mix them up, doing both of them at the same time, because you're gonna confuse other people as well. They're watching, they're watching. It's okay to go like this, and by no means, let's not go like this, because we don't need to saw anything, okay? It's simple. By the third time, you're done. You are done. If by chance you're doing this, do you see this? Do you see this?
Yes.
Let's not do that, everybody. We cannot do that, okay? That is one thing that we cannot do. And so, informal table, this is basically what I wanted to share with you real quickly. You have the bread plate. All this is very simple. This is just basic, very informal, okay? And so, just an overview, we have you know how to introduce yourselves, your business cards, navigating the table, and being the gracious guest. Always engage, as you know, never groom yourself at the table. Always know how to leave your linens where they belong. And with that, I just want to make sure, your last nugget I'm going to leave you with. Don't get ready, get started. Do a project without the intentions of making it your startup. Don't do it thinking it like that, okay? Do it out of fun because you can do it and you're going to be the best at it. Watch, it's going to become something, okay? I started what I thought was just going to be a regular training, and look what it is. It's a business. Now I own a business. This is like, whoa. My biggest tools, I use the calendar, LinkedIn, short emails, and energy. That's what I have. And with that, I thank you so much. Thank you. The rest of the class is coming in, right? So thank you all. And I do have my information on the little pad. Do take it with you, okay? And